In this entire Vinesh Phogat situation, we have to look at scapegoats, right? Who was at fault? Was the player herself at fault? Was her support staff at fault? Was Dinshaw Pardiwala, the chief medical officer, at fault? Or was the IOA at fault? People are looking for situations that will ensure that either of these parties are criticized. Now, amidst all of the tumult and turmoil, Indian Olympic Association has released a statement. PT Usha has categorically and bluntly stated certain facts, which are: in that statement which Sports Today has accessed, PT Usha stated, weight management in sport like wrestling, and also if you look at it, other sports like judo, boxing, all those other sports where weigh-ins are needed. Weight management in sport like wrestling is that of each athlete and his or her coach, and not that of the IOA appointed Chief Medical Officer Dr. Dinshaw Pardiwala and his team. So, PT Usha has bluntly stated the onus to reduce the weight rests on the athlete, not on the IOA. And if you bluntly look at it, and if you look at it with a detached view, IOA is actually right. What more can they do? Supposing if the player does not want the IOA services, he or she has his or own support staff. Now that support staff will ensure that, okay, maybe we will ensure that you get your weight in check and that you participate. Vinesh had her own team. Then what can IOA do about it then? IOA can give you all the things. Dinshaw Pardiwala was supervising all other aspects that were there when it came to rehabilitation, recuperation during the tournament and after the tournament, for everything. The IOA has stated each Indian athlete in Paris 2024 Olympic Games in such sport had his or her own support staff. These support teams have been working with the athletes over so many years. That is true. Every athlete had his or her own support staff and coach. The IOA only gave the approval for that. Now, where can you blame the IOA in this particular instance? Sure, you can all say that, oh, you are doing PR for IOA and all these other things, but these are blunt facts. You have to know the system. IOA will only step in for athletes if they do not have their own support staff, which can happen. But most of them, the physicists, nutritionists, everybody else, the wrestlers had gotten their own. So in this way, when you look at it, how can IOA be blamed? Each Indian athlete did have their own support staff, chosen by themselves. IOA had to only rubber stamp it and give the accreditation. In certain cases, in the case of the archery team, it didn't work. But PT Usha is absolutely, and the IOA have made it categorically clear. Hate directed at IOA medical team, especially Dr. Dinshaw Pardiwala, is unacceptable and condemnable. Hoping that those rushing to judge IOA medical team would consider all the facts. When Vinesh Phogat went over 100 grams, honestly, what could the IOA have done? They could have ensured that maybe, perhaps tell the support staff to speed up the process. But could they have done that? No. When an athlete chooses his or her own team, they work independently. They only have to just have a customary supervision of the IOA. But apart from that, the IOA can't do anything about it. Yes, if IOA's support staff had managed to sabotage Vinesh, then yes, all the hate was justified. But in this case, when Dinshaw Pardiwala is overlooking 117 members of the contingent, he was the broader head, the chief medical officer. For one instance, how is he held responsible for it? The buck has to stop somewhere, but the buck doesn't stop at Dinshaw Pardiwala. Then when you look at it, IOA appointed a medical team couple of months ago primarily to assist in recovery and injury management of athletes during and after their competition. They also supported athletes who did not have their own team. Now the KRA that has been given to the medical team by the IOA and all the other stakeholders is that primarily to assist in recovery and injury management of athletes during and after their competition. Now, in the case of weight management, for an athlete, they have to do it on their own. There is no other way. If IOA had given Vinesh the support staff, their selected staff, then the hate is justified then. But in this particular case, PT Usha's IOA could do only so much. Directing the blame towards Dinshaw Pardiwal and others is overlooking the entire thing. The entire system failed to give anybody the chance to assess sports nutrition, sports food science. This is the wake-up call for the future events. When you look at it, have a robust fitness, sports, diet regime in place. Diet as well as weight management should now be the prime area upon which Vinesh and the team and the IOA will have to focus on. Because the American wrestler who won, I'll again say this because it has a lot of ringing to it. It took her 2 years to maintain the weight. Wrestlers at this point in time now, if you're in that category, please maintain the weight for at least a couple of years so that you don't have to take drastic steps to ensure a medal. Aman Sehrawat had to shed 4.5 kilos in 10 hours. Vinesh tried to shed 2.8 kilos in 10 hours, 12 hours, but it did not help. So that is why sports science, food science, nutrition expertise has to increase now after the Olympics. IOA can do only so much. The rest have to do it on their own. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this video. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis.